All right, today we got nothing has felt real since 2020. Bro, this is so facts. Nothing has felt real since then. I'm just going to react to Cole Hastings. By the way, this is a self improvement YouTuber, and I absolutely love this YouTuber. And we're just going to get right into this video.
In February of 2020,
This is so interesting because everybody says this. Nigga, everybody says 2020, ever since 2020, shit has been feeling real fake for no reason.
my life was the same as it had been for years. I was living with my parents, I hung out with my girlfriend a couple times a week, and I had a big bumper sticker on the back of my car that said, "Subscribe to my channel, Cole Hastings." Super cringe, but a necessary cringe at the time. But little did I know that in less than a month, myself and everyone else in the world would experience the biggest cultural shift of our lives.
Authorities have reported 27 cases.
It's a new type of coronavirus.
One person.
Yeah. Hey. Who can tell me one of the most biggest paradigm shifts in human consciousness of 2020, bro? The spiritual arc, bro. It was so huge. It just shifted everybody, bro. Like, we had niggas over here. We had niggas over here. That was so big, dude. It's bringing me back, bro. I'll wake up in the morning, watch Vontu cut fast, watch spiritual song. I bitch, bro. I watched every single video on that man's channel. Every video. I remember when my brother showed me him in like March or like April, when it was like the first 2-3 weeks of COVID. I after that I binged watched his whole channel, bro. During 2020, I was a beast. I was a beast, bro. I was not playing no games. So, man, things were that shit changed for me. I love that.
Officially announced that this is a global pandemic.
If you or anyone has one of those two symptoms, then you should stay at home for 14 days.
True.
As of the time I'm recording this video, it's now been 4 years since we were locked inside and forced to interact with each other through our screens. And ever since then, there's a large consensus, specifically from young people, that time has sped up significantly and nothing feels very real anymore. Could this simply be a bad case of nostalgia, shrouding our ability to accurately assess the past, just like every previous generation? Or is there a significant difference in the way children are perceiving time now as opposed to children in the past? I'd like to explore that second question in this video. If you're like me, you probably have a vault of memories from your childhood that you can vividly recall. Like the time I got into a screaming match with my friend after a party in high school because I didn't fight a guy for insulting me to my face, or when I was 6 years old and I ran out my backyard door, pressed too hard on the glass window pane, and got this scar on the back of my right arm. These moments in time produced visceral emotions that enhanced my ability to remember them, and also they were moments that I had never experienced before. When our brains experience a novel situation in the form of a different environment or activity, it requires more neural resources to code, which then makes time feel slowed down. This is why your childhood might feel like it lasted a lifetime, or why a 7-day vacation can feel like a month. You had to record more data to your brain, and your brain therefore had to take down more mental notes during that specific period of time. That
That's some
data
great
also
editing.
came with really intense emotional states, which only exacerbates your ability to form new memories. In short, the more novel experiences and memories you make, the longer that period of time will feel. Based off the science we already have to prove this, researchers hypothesized that people's recollection of the pandemic period would feel like an eternity due to the amount of new stories and headlines that were being bombarded at us at every moment. For instance, a lot of people share similar sentiments of knowing exactly where they were, what they were doing, and even what they were wearing when they heard that Kobe Bryant.
I know, dude. Bro, I was at the gym when Kobe died. And the fucking, like, the YMCA worker told us, yo, Kobe died. Nigga, we all stopped playing basketball for like 7 minutes, bro. Nigga, we just stopped.
Died, or when it was announced that George Floyd was killed. But what they found is that while people's recollection of their memories is stronger when emotions, and specifically negative emotions, are tied to them, the lockdown still compressed the perception of time due to the extreme monotony of our daily routines.
So what is ClickUp?
Honestly,
ClickUp is an
bro,
all-in-one productivity
the lockdown, man, it turned me into a beast. While it was making everybody soft, angry, sad, depressed, that shit was just turning me into a different animal, bro. And it did. And I'm a whole different person. And I got many videos coming explaining a lot of things from the past and just many things coming. But first, I gotta grow myself and grow my brand so that people can start watching me.
During the lockdown, none of us were really experiencing anything novel or exciting. We can remember those negative traumatic moments in precise detail, but it still all feels like a blur because each of those details is just a speck in the canvas of time from 2020 to the present moment. This suggests that monotony has a greater impact on our perception of time than surprising news stories, and looking back on my life, I'd have to agree. But that still doesn't explain why this opinion of nothing feeling real since 2020 has been voiced.
I don't know, like, it's just like I guess we have more of a negative bias towards, more of a bias towards negative experience due to the fact that it is the things that can change our daily life. For example, like if you have a negative stimulation somewhere in like this coordinate place or whatever place in space and time, you're not gonna go there. Or like every time like they would realize that they couldn't go to that specific like cheese trap because like they would get freaking zapped, so that they knew not to go there. I don't know. Maybe that's just psychology.
Primarily by young people. The obvious answer is that it's mostly young people who post online, and therefore the natural consequence will be that more young people will have.
You realize that 2024 is just in a couple months. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Time does not really fly by like that for me, because of the way I live my life. Time does not fly by that much. But I ain't gonna lie, bro. When I look back, it felt like it kind of flew by, but at the same time, I can remember every precise moment. So it's like, damn, bro. But I ain't gonna lie, these last 2 years, my junior year and my senior year, time has been flying, bro. Maybe it's because school life has been a lot easier. And when school tends to be easier, I straight up just have a smoother and faster uh, progress
A
of
voice
like
to
school.
amplify their thoughts about this, but I think it goes much deeper than that. I think it has to do with our most important developmental stages. And what thing is better to have during your developmental stages than having someone like a professional therapist to talk to? And that is why I want to talk about today.
I love you, Cole Hastings, but I'm not watching this. I'm sorry. I love you so much, dude.
Now, let's get back to the video. During the ages of 15 to 21, you're going through what is commonly referred to as a coming of age. It's when you're no longer considered a minor and you're finally figuring out who you are and what type of path you want to carve out for yourself in the world. These are some of the most important years of your life, and I'm sure that anyone who is above these ages in 2020 can attest to that. So imagine that during your most developing years, when your hormones are changing rapidly, you're just learning how to communicate, how to be competent, confident, and create useful skills, the entire world shuts down, and the most amount of interaction you get from your peers is through tiny boxes lined in multiple rows of a Zoom meeting. All the aspects that come with maturing, making friends, gauging emotional responses, being in a school environment, and cooperating with fellow humans are put on a halt. So another reason that everything feels like a blur and many young people feel like they're not truly living is because we all feel like we're making up for lost time. I actually asked people in my self-mastery school, which you can join by clicking the link in the description, their opinions on the blurriness of life since 2020, and one of them explained what I'm trying to explain here better than I ever could. At least for me, it feels like 2 years lost with nothing to show for it. 2 years spent, lost, stolen. I'm 24 now, 4 years later, but because I have so little memory of those 2 years, aside from a dark smear of fear, anxiety, depression, and loneliness, I barely feel older than I was then. I still feel 20, maybe 21, but I'm not. And I'm expected to act now that 24 years, which is not the same as how a 21-year-old acts. It makes me feel too young, too old, and like I slipped out of time, and when I came back to my life, the person expected to live it isn't inside anymore. Stolen, I think, is one of the best words for it.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't really feel this way, and I don't think many. I probably many just random people that you see, they probably do feel that way. But me personally, I don't feel that way because I don't know. Life is just not that way for me. It's just not.
Our teenage years and young 20s got their formative years stolen from them, and now they're making up for lost time. But making up for lost time is now harder than it should be because they didn't develop the skills that they were supposed to develop at that age. The
I
best way I
see.
could put it, if I could sum it up into one sentence, is that we have a bunch of 16 to 18-year-olds trapped in 20-something-year-old bodies. And that disconnect between
Yeah.
how old you are and how old you feel is greater than ever. Add that developmental postponement on top of the fact that it takes longer to become financially stable and afford things than in the past, which is clearly exemplified in how many more 20-year-olds are choosing to live with their parents, and we now have a society full of
Facts.
teens trapped in adult bodies.
And I see this a lot. In fact, I need to react to that because I'm seeing a lot of TikToks or like just not even just videos in general of people who are living with their parents. Like they're like 20s in their 20s. Just that's just the norm now. Like they're in their 20s just living with their parents, and it's just like holy crap. Like that's pretty insane. Like this right here. Like look at this. Like wow, 57% in the 1940 living in their parents' home by age at the age of I don't even know how to read this. This should yeah ages okay yeah I see. So yeah we're at 50%. They just live with their parents like it's crazy 24. Okay I'm seeing it now. And so yeah wow it's shooting up to 13. And this like the 1940s again. Some weird shit going on.
To clarify, I'm not saying you shouldn't live with your parents, and it doesn't always imply that you're going to mature less quickly if you don't move out in your 20s, but there certainly is something to be said about how the pandemic contributed to more young people feeling like they're incapable of living without the guidance of a caretaker. What is also contributing to our perception of time speeding up
Yeah, but time has been speeding up, bro. Since 2020, time has been flying.
is that quite literally everything is speeding up, and speeding up at a rate that we have never
Never
seen
seen
before.
before.
The rate we can get information has sped up. How quickly we can finish certain tasks has sped up. Technological advancements have sped up significantly, and before we can even learn about the new thing that everyone is talking about, the next version of it has already been released. But the type of information I want to focus on in regards to its speed is social media trends. You see, I think trends on social media affect our perception of time much more than we think. For example, if we look at the early days of YouTube, let's say 2005 to 2008, it felt like a video could trend for years. If you're an OG
Wow.
YouTube fan, you might remember the Numa Numa guy, Charlie Bit My Finger, or Chocolate Rain. These cataclysmic moments in YouTube history established a category of viral trends that define that time period. I don't know what exactly we would call that time period, and I'm sure if I did some scouring on the internet, I could find an exact real name. But for the sake of this video, let's just call it the low quality memes slash funny videos era. Now, according to the guy who officially uploaded the Numa Numa dance video, the original upload was on sites like YouTube and Newgrounds from December 6,
Newgrounds.
2004 to 2006. That probably means that for 2 entire years, the Numa Numa guy video was relevant on the internet. Another time period a lot of you might remember that established its own category was the MLG era. This is when we had over-edited
What's this?
videos with the hit marker sound, Snoop Dogg doing that one dance, that guy that says, wow, then winks, and little kids screaming on Modern Warfare 2. I decided to do some investigation through the YouTube search,
Wow.
and what I found was that these types of meme videos were relevant from 2013 all the way to 2015. Again, a time period where an internet
Wow.
trend could be relevant for 2 entire years. Now let's compare that to today. Thanks to what I believe is the biggest culprit for
Wow,
rapid
I'm just learning something new. It makes sense. Like internet trends back then lasted way longer. They did. Wow. And I remember in class earlier, the dude said, and this is just the time, going back to the time context. Uh, somebody in class, he told me, no, he didn't tell me. He told the teacher. He said, "Man, whip the nene. That shit was fucking 10 years ago, or like what, like 8 years ago. I'm thinking of You Yo Daddy's Son and Whip the Nene, but Whip the Nene was like 10 years ago. And he was like, damn, that shit don't even feel like 10 years ago. That shit felt like freaking 3 or 4. Like it just felt recent. Like that's crazy. It's just like, yo, these stuff. But that trend did, like, Whip the Nene lasted from like 2014 or whatever, 2015 or whatever, to like 2016. Like, nigga, and I remember like when it gradually died out, people saying like that's so old, or like hit the folks. It's like crazy. Like that shit, it lasted for a minute.
short form content, I feel like we have a new meme slash trend category every month or even every week. Last month it was that LeBron James screaming meme.
LeBron James.
Scream if you love it.
Super Mario 64!
I've never seen this before. I've never seen this
We
before.
now have a bunch of short form content about people losing aura. These trends have to keep up with
Aura,
how
man.
rapidly we are processing and learning new information now. Every trend feels like a new period of time on the internet, and it's as if we are experiencing a new category of trend that used to last like 2 years every week or month now,
Holy
which is
crap.
wild. I might be
is
kind of
wild.
exaggerating this. I don't know. That might be a stretch, but you cannot deny that our perception of time has to be quicker because everything else in our environment is moving quicker. I'd also love it if somebody conducted a study where we had two groups of people and both groups had the exact same routine, but the first group did their entire routine while surrounded by people, while the second group did that entire routine in complete isolation. I bet there's something related to time perception there, because I also think being surrounded by people more often helps us to solidify an identity and a stable personality, thus solidifying the idea of time better. Simply put, I think being around people contributes to the idea that you actually exist and aren't some vague entity. And you already know we aren't seeing people in real life as much anymore. So that
Okay, yeah, so this is when things start to get a little bit philosophical for me. I don't want to get too deep into it this video, but I just want to tell y'all that communication won't help. Friends won't help. That stuff is not gonna help. Like that has never been the problem like that. It hasn't. Like, I promise, the problem runs much deeper. Like, these things that we talk about, these are just problems, but they're not the problem. And like, they will overemphasize things, and they will speak for crowds, by the way. Because let's look at Cole Hastings. He's a self-improver. Probably had haters, shit like that, but the average person, they're the ones who are hating with people that they have friends, and they did that shit. So things don't feel that much different to those people, but to people like us, Cole Hastings, me and him, who are woke, dude, things feel different because our lives have changed. We grind. We do different types of things. And bro, I'm trying to tell him, well, I can't tell him, but dude, I don't think that we need communication as much as we think we do. Cause this communication will one day turn into arguing, bickering, separation, and we're probably not even gonna gain as much as we thought from that. You know what I'm saying? And like, bro, me, someone who barely even talks to people like that, when I back then I used to, you're just like kind of deprived from it. But after a while, when you remove that deprivation, you're gonna realize that you never really needed that, and you don't really need to talk to people like that. You don't. You don't need that to be happy. Because if you really did, I'm not gonna get too deep into it this video, but I just it's an observation right now. So before you go spamming in the comments, this is the observation. I just really think that people, you don't need them as much as people bring it out to be. Like, they just think we just need each other so bad we breathe down each other's necks. We don't, bro. Like, we don't need each other like that, like that. You know what I'm saying? It sounds so controversial and weird, and it sounds like, whoa, this guy is fucking stupid. But honestly, you have to really think about it.
Leads me to the most important parts of these types of videos. The parts of these videos that historically have been the time in the video where people decide to click off the most. The part where
I
I
don't know
actually
why.
try to provide a solution. And I find it hilarious that once I'm done saying all the negative things, people are like, oh, he's gonna actually try to fix this for us? Okay, I'm gonna log off.
That see, he just put it in. I'm not gonna cut this ad out because I'm about to talk, bro. That is so key and important, dude. Niggas don't fix their problems. Like these are, see, Cole Hastings. He's probably observes this, but I just don't. I'm gonna make a video on this later on, y'all. That's really important. It's gonna be very controversial. It's not gonna be that backed up by science because it's more of what we experience. And so I really just want to explain that people just don't care about solutions. They just don't like them. They just love to sit in their problems and they just love how problems feel because they can be a victim. And that's the main truth. That's what's always been happening. Fuck a 2016. Fuck a 1986. These are things that have always been happening. It's just now we have technology and more people. And so things make that change. And I really, really want to stress this point because I'm just really knowing and looking, and I'm so big on self improvement that TikTok and socializing and the pandemic were not the problem. They weren't. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, these things were not the problem. It's you. It's generational karma. That's the real problem. And everything will start to unfold.
Producers, if you're anything like me, I'm sure you have a ton of old ideas sitting on your hard drive.
Now, those weren't really, those problems, they were like the thing, no, the solutions that I mentioned or like the answers that I mentioned, they're not really that specific. Like, I'm still observing, you know? Like, these are just answers that can be somewhat similar. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not really the main answer. I'm gonna get this video out soon. I'm gonna make it. It's just gonna be probably titled "TikTok is not the problem," and it's gonna be such a deep video for everybody to watch. That video is just gonna spike up YouTube for real.
And see this because YouTube shows me in the audience retention. So how about you don't click off? Like most of our modern issues, the solution revolves around reintegrating into the real world as much as you can and creating more novel experiences. Yes, this is much more difficult than when you were a kid because now you need some sort of stability just to survive in your day-to-day life, but you gotta plan more things that are unlike anything you've experienced before. This could be going to a concert, joining a club, going on a hike, seeing a movie, planning a boys or girls trip. Anything that shakes things up for a little while and will produce a big emotional reaction within you will help establish a clear sense of identity. I know we're all victims of the pandemic and the government fucked us up real bad, but what else can you do? And here's something else that the researchers
Facts.
of that study I mentioned earlier found in regards to your blurred memories during the pandemic. If the memories of the past and all you went through during the pandemic have caused you to suppress that part of your life and keep it a blur, which you might not even be consciously aware of, you can actually let it stop haunting you in the present through something called episodic memory induction. This is the process of recalling specific details from memories of the past using something like journaling or talking to a therapist or a friend. So the one thing you might need to get that.
That's really true. And there's a specific video that I don't know if y'all are still here, but there is a specific video that I truly want you guys to watch. And that is how to talk to God and not with God. Because I can't do, again, I don't know how therapy truly works. But I can't just sit here and just ramble on about my problems. And another thing is that when I do talk about my problems, they just fade away. It's like they were never there. It's like I'm just talking nonsense. Alan Watts said that, and it really just like, like, wow, I don't even have the problem anymore. And that's the reason why I probably have never revealed anything to my family or to anyone in my life. And it's just all been kept within me. Because the problems are just not there anymore. It's such a weird experience. And honestly, I'm still trying to explain it to even myself. But man, I need to make all those videos. And also, I don't want to just rant to someone about what the heck happened to me or anything like that. I don't want anybody to go through that. I don't want and oh, really the main problems in life is ignorance. I just don't know why people do not acknowledge that. Like I hear me like I hear some YouTubers, maybe I think Low Tier God, um, Fresh and Fit talk about that. Like it's not really depression, it's just ignorance. Or Sneeko and Andrew Tate. Like what are people rambling on about? Like what are you unhappy about, bro? You live in the most well country in the entire world. What are you rambling on about? I understand socializing, all this stuff happened, it sucks. But get the fuck up. It's just really weird to me. It's just really weird to me.
Absolute clarity on what happened to you during those pandemic years is to lay out exactly what happened to you and try to recall it in as much detail as possible with someone else or outside of your brain. Because if you try to figure it out in your brain, it's just not going to work. Going off of this, I actually recommend that you start to journal nightly right before bed. I personally just write a one-page recap of what went on that day and how I felt to make the recalling of my past much easier, which makes it feel real and longer as a result. And if you find that you don't have much to write about, or you're experiencing a string of days where you keep writing the exact same thing, that's a great sign that you should go experience more novelty soon. Be more open to new experiences and accept any opportunity that requires you to break out of your daily routine, at least for a little while. And eventually, life will start feeling as vivid as it was before 2020. Would love to hear your thoughts.
That was a really, really good video. And like, bro, it even reached man, that I think that should just be a different video, bro. But for me, it even reached a point where journaling or just talking about it just wasn't doing it anymore. I'm going through a lot, but I will get through it. I love y'all.